Welcome to Aging Gayfully. We're about adventure, leisure, travel, being a citizen of the world, traveling to destinations, and being a part of the global community as we age and prosper in body, mind, and spirit.
Welcome to Aging Gayfully. I am Josh, and the frog in his throat.
The frog in your throat. You've had that frog for a couple of weeks now, Josh. What do you need a caregiver?
I have Amanda, but
You have
here's
Amanda. She's really good. So what's up? Why are you?
well, as you can see here. Well, first of all, that's Chris. He's not introduced himself yet. Very rude. I want everyone on the video to notice that I have my fluffy robe on here,
Yeah,
and that is
in
because
Florida,
in
in
Florida.
August, something.
Well, yeah, but this is what we do in Florida. It's called Florida winter, and that's when you turn your AC down to 68 and then you put on heavy clothes, and that's the Florida winter. But about 3 weeks ago, I got some sort of some sickness,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
and I'm better now except for my voice, and I have the occasional cough. So I don't know what sort of weird mystery illness I had picked up, but it is the consequences of it are lagging still. So forgive me if I cough during this recording. I'll do my best to edit it out, or maybe I'll just leave it in now that I've given this
Be
caveat.
a natural. I think I can diagnose you from here.
Oh,
I
go
used
ahead.
I used to have this problem, especially when I bowled. It's a pulled earlobe muscle.
Excellent.
Your headset has I can see it. It's a pulled earlobe muscle. I used to have pulled earlobe muscles when I bowled, especially when the tournament wasn't going well, and I need to figure out how do I get out of this? How do I get out of embarrassing myself? I said, oh, I had this pulled earlobe muscle. I just was so imbalanced. So I don't know. It's kind of you might be a little unbalanced. I don't
So
know.
what's the treatment for that?
The treatment for that is more practice,
Oh,
at least
no.
on the bowling side. For you, it looks like it's your robe and maybe turn the air conditioning up to 69 instead of 68. I don't.
I am definitely not in the shape to turn anything up to 69 right now. Let me just get my wind a little bit more, and then we'll proceed to there.
But you're a trooper. You're digging in. We're doing it today.
Well, listen, life does not stop when we get sick, unless, of course, there's a global pandemic, and then everyone shuts down. But besides that, it has been a heck of a week since we last talked. You've had all of these developments that I'd love for you
I
to update the
tell you,
listeners
what
on.
is going? I really am aging gayfully. I don't know if anybody out in our aging gayfully sphere has hopped on to Instagram here recently, but I've had some really fantastic experiences, and it's about again stepping into your comfort zone. I got hired to by an artist to sit as a model, and it's kind of like these new experiences. Opportunities present themselves. So I said yes. I kind of knew what I was getting into, but we got to the studio, and I knew I was going to be painted on. But I walked in and I felt like I was in my element. There was probably 6, 7, 8 staff people there before the artist arrived, and she came in and we connected, and she said, how would you feel if I painted you with your shirt off? And I said, hell yes. In fact, if she had told me to take my pants off, I probably would have been okay with that too. But it just, it was, to me, it was a reminder about following your dreams, stepping into your comfort zone. As she was painting on me, it was kind of like, no holds bar. But I did. She did want to paint on my beard, and I said, "Nah, I'm not sure I wanted to do that. I didn't want to do that.
Don't mess with the moneymaker.
Don't mess with the moneymaker." And actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I asked the staff. I said, "Well, what attracted you?" I mean, they reached out to me. I didn't wasn't something that I would have normally have applied for. Now I'm going to apply for all of them when I see them. And they had a couple of wonderful comments. They said, "Well, your profile, you come across as approachable, easy to work with." And then we wanted to paint that gray beard of yours. We wanted you in these paintings, and it's like, okay, so it's like those mornings when I wake up and it's kind of like in 4 or 5 different places. I think, hey, maybe it's time to trim it. And I said, no, because all these gigs that I'm getting, I hope it's because I have some talent, but they're to a person they've all in a company they've said it's the gray beard. So
Yeah.
they're it's kind of a testament to all of us that are out there that are in our uh, 50s or really more so 60s and 70s. There are opportunities out there if you just kind of step into your comfort zone. And that's kind of like what I'm doing. I feel like I'm back bowling 40 years ago. I mean, that's the same type of experience that I have right now as I'm not that I've not always tried to use my talents and skills in any job that I've had or working for somebody else, but there's something exhilarating about doing it with your talents and skills, with your innate talents and skills. And that's really pretty much the second chapter of my life here. So and I get to talk to cool people like you.
Well, here's my question. Speaking of cool people, now that you've had these pictures taken, where are they going to show up? I mean, is this going to be on billboards? Is this going to be, someone folds out the centerfold and there you are with
Did you
paint?
say centerfold? Did
Yes,
you
I
say?
don't know because I don't know where can people see these pictures? Do you
Well,
or
it's
do
going to
or do
be
you even know? Maybe you don't know.
there's a couple of things I do know. So this is the final round of work that the artist is doing this year. So there's a process that she goes in. I'm not. It's not that I'm not revealing the artist yet, uh, but that's going to come. But these photos are going to be 3D enhanced. Uh,
Oh,
and and I'll put a link. We'll put a link to the artist's website in the show notes here. But it's going to be a few months before my photos are available, and I'll get a chance to buy the 3D versions of these photos. And then there's 7 or 8 photos on Facebook and Instagram, both at Aging Gayfully and my personal Instagram and Facebook. But there's was probably I don't know 200 or 300 photos that were
oh wow.
taken throughout the process. And what was kind of exhilarating about this is that I think this is the right word, Josh. It was uninhibited. I was
Hmm.
uninhibited by it.
Yeah.
I was shocked at how they would, they say, "Can you move to here?" And it's like it was all natural. Some of these poses that you'll see uh, on social media were taken with an iPhone, and and why I'm mentioning that is not that I'm not an iPhone user, but those photos are like spectacular. But the professional photographer that was there with his big rig, I can only imagine what these photos are going to look like, and these little movie clips are going to look like. But when I walked into the studio, it was like I'm in my element. And that was the same way I felt. I've had a couple of other experiences in my life with that.
Mm,
Bowling, for sure. When I walked in a bowling alley, I was in my element. When I'm behind a microphone doing a podcast or
mm,
recording, or, one of my funny lines at the studio, because they, were taking all these pictures, and I said to the photographer, because I knew he would get a kick out of it, I said, well, I've never met a camera I didn't like. So, and that's kind of out of character for me to be so, um, what's the right word? So, open
mm.
about it. Because usually in the settings that I've been involved in most of my professional career, not that my personal personality didn't come out, but there was a whole other side of me that never came out. So it's just this whole realm of self discovery at the stage in my life, and it's fucking awesome.
Well, it is pretty amazing because I was thinking about this last couple days. The idea of, first of all, we're never too old to learn and to grow,
You never do. You never do.
but you know, you could have a person who is really struggling, and they're struggling, and they think, well, I'm broken, I don't really fit in, I must not really have a place in society, and then you know, they are lucky enough to find rich soil in which they can really grow, and then all of a sudden they discover who it was that they've been this whole time. And so that's what it sounds like has happened to you, is that this is, you are becoming more and more you as you find better and better soil, or more appropriate soil, in which to plant yourself.
Right, and I think it kind of comes back to, again, this is uh, stepping into your comfort
Hmm.
zone. It's
Hmm.
all, the phrase has always been stepping. You need to step out of your
Hmm.
comfort
Yeah.
zone, and I, maybe it's my dyslexity, but to me, it's the exact opposite. It's stepping into your comfort zone and finding it. And here's an example, and this is a 40 some odd year ago example, but I when I was bowling professionally, there was days where you practiced 2 and 3, 4 hours a day. I mean, you were in the bowling alley 24/7, and then friends of mine who really weren't connected to the bowling scene, which is understandable. They'd come in and they'd want to go do something. They would sit there and they'd watch it. They'd say, "Well, what what are you doing? You're just repetitive. You're just." I said, "Well, you know what? I'm practicing my skill." And that's kind of the same mindset I have about these gigs and these podcasts, and again, practicing your skill. It's not work. It's like tomorrow uh, I have an appointment with my voice coach because I've got to audition for a play this week, and it's like I just it's like, Lindsay, I need your help, and it's like it's exhilarating. Or I could sit at my desk and try to do book work, and ugh, what that it's like, all right, I'm going to fix what's wrong with the website. I end up breaking it more than fixing it because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But if I'm using my talents and skills, and I think all of us want to use our talents and skills to the best of our abilities, you got to step into your comfort zone.
So it's so interesting to me that when you tell stories about stepping into your comfort zone, you always go back to bowling. Now you've done several things since then, but is bowling really the last time, besides now and this revolution you're going through now, really the last time you felt most fully in a context that honored who you were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from now on, your stories are going to be, oh, I was acting in this thing, or I had my shirt off for this lady who painted me all up.
Like,
Those are going to be your stories.
oh, wait a minute. I got an idea.
Oh, you're
Maybe,
going to paint yourself up in bowl.
no, maybe we should do a shirtless podcast.
Come on now. Come on now.
I'll bring the paint.
Yeah.
And you're a
Uh,
painter. No,
huh.
no, you're spot on target, Josh. The analogy that I use for my comfort zone is I go back to my bowling career, and that's the last professional bowling tournament for me was in Baltimore in 1987.
Wow.
You know,
That's a big gap of time
well,
between
it is a big,
87 and modern day.
well, yeah, I got that. I did get that. And just remember, you're only 10 years younger than me. So,
Yeah, no, I remember.
okay. So, but that was pretty good, though. So, do we have a drum roll? Can you
Yeah,
use it?
that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
But
But no, but I think, when you have the time to sit back and reflect on different parts of your life, and I think we all do that. I look back on the times that where was I most happy? And I, I've had some really great jobs, um, but were you fulfilled in the was I fulfilled in those jobs? Was it a job just for the sake of supporting yourself, or was it a something that you were using your talents and skills? I don't know. Maybe if I don't know if we've talked about this in the past, but as I've had the opportunity to reflect and look at where my highs and lows and where I felt comfortable, I didn't come out until I was in my 40s.
hmm
And so I was always kind of, um, looking over my shoulder because, I was involved in church, and then I was, involved in professional bowling, all that macho stuff. And it was always that, my secret. I always had my secret. And what I learned from that experience is, I didn't have secrets. My secret had me.
Yeah.
And I never really uh, felt comfortable enough to be who I really was. And now that, you're out and about and you're doing these things and using your talents and skills to the way that you really feel called to do them, there's this comfort zone that just comes in that is natural. And that's what I hope everybody can experience. I understand we all you need to make a living, you need to do the things that you do, um, but you want to be able to find something that to complement your talents and skills rather than just, "Ugh, I got to go do this." And I guess if uh, um, if I was more of a risk taker after I quit bowling, I probably would have found something a little bit more attuned to my skills. But I got into the helping profession, which is a part of my makeup. Um, but maybe management wasn't the right skill for my background. So
Well, it's interesting because that was going to be my next question. As you look back on this journey to where you are now, any regrets?
I don't have any regrets. I feel like I've lived my life to the fullest as I possibly can, and it's only continued to get better. There are things I think there's a difference between a regret and what I have done differently if I had known. I just don't think like I don't feel like I have any regrets. I'd like to make a couple of different decisions, but there's no mulligans in life. Um, but you hope that you learn from it, and I think for at least where I'm at right now, I see I still see a wonderful future.
Mm.
Can I tell you a quick funny story that just happened this week?
Go.
Uh, um, I, I, and this is no offense to marketers because it's hard, but I had a fellow reach out to me via LinkedIn, and he said, I've been looking at your LinkedIn profile, and I've I have to tell you, I could really help you enhance your LinkedIn file with a video. And, have you thought about writing a book? And I think that's when I know that they haven't really looked at
Mm.
so,
Yeah.
so I said, I keep getting these. And I wrote back, I said, I really appreciate your reaching out. And I know you're probably really talented and skilled, but you know what? I'm 68 years old and I'm on the twilight of this part of my life. Um, I've got other things that I want to do that really aren't related to LinkedIn. And sure, I could put all the gig work that I'm doing up on LinkedIn, and maybe I will do that. But it was another affirmation about following your dreams. I don't want to all that. You, I don't want to get involved in things that I'm not good at.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because you're saying that there's no mulligans in life. In a way, there's not, but in a way, there is because if we pass on what we would have done different, then someone else will make a different decision. We will have helped them. And
Well, and it's
in
a
a way,
yeah,
karmically, that's a mulligan.
well, yeah, I would agree with you on that because I think when you uh, to kind of draw this out a little bit more, um, we all hopefully learn from our experiences so that when something similar comes up down the road, you can make a better choice because
Hmm.
you learn from that. So I guess the way to qualify that is by saying, um, when you make a decision, or at least, well, as I've learned to check my ego at the door from my four sisters, when I make a decision, you that maybe wasn't the right decision that you see a week or a month or a year later or whenever, but in the time that you made that decision, that was what was prevalent in your mind. So you really can't, in one sense, discredit your thought process in the moment. The facts might have been skewed a little bit, or you might have been looking at it differently, but you made that decision based on what that moment was telling you, without really knowing what the outcome was going to be. mean, I I, I look at my lived experiences, and I don't, would I goodness, I've had a variety of experiences from bowling professionally to being in the seminary to running an agency for Catholic Charities to it's kind of been a cornucopia of things. And then when you look back at it, you think, where are you most happy? What was the most fun? And I go back to bowling. Why,
Yeah.
what was fun about that? Well, I didn't need anybody to tell me how good or bad I was because I knew it just by and every time I threw the ball down the lane. And one of the biggest lessons I learned in bowling that I think we can all apply to every area of life. And it was one of the tournament directors early on in my career. He said to me, and if I'm repeating myself in a previous episode, but I've kind of lived this motto. He said, Chris, if when you step onto that approach and grab the ball, if you don't believe you're going to strike every time you do that, then you're already defeated. And that's some sage advice. I got up on that lane every time, and I held that ball, and I said, I'm gonna strike. Now, didn't obviously it didn't happen every time, but it's that attitude that you have to have with your talents and skills. And when you're using your talents and skills to the best of your ability in your this analogy just came to me. When you're using your talents and skills to the best in the ability, when you're in your lane,
Mm.
um, that's when happiness happens.
Mm.
I mean, I talking to somebody, this guy named Josh, that's like a fantastic writer, poet, artist. And when I listen to your poetry and I see your artwork that you do, it's like, man, this guy is freaking talented. And that's kind of how we connect.
Mhm.
Kind of turn the tables here just a little bit because
Yeah.
I can't make it all about me, but
No. Yes, and when I find a world in which I can just do these, and
mhm.
I'm pointing to the paintings back behind me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially the one that's over your. Well, I don't know. It's
that one.
yeah, that one, right? Mhm.
That one
Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
So yeah, if anyone wants to pay, be my patron, we can go back to the old system.
Patron,
Oh yeah, patron. Yeah,
patron.
be my
Well,
patron.
we can
Would you
put
like to be
aging
my
gay,
patron?
we can put aging gayfully on Patreon, and
Thanks. Yeah.
what do you
So
know?
we will see. We will see. But speaking of aging gayfully, how can people reach out to us, tell us their stories
Tell us your story because
finding their
it,
comfort zone?
because it's through story sharing where diversity meets the road to
There you go.
collaborate on a common cause. And they can find us on aginggayfully.com or they can email us at yesiam at aginggayfully.com. Josh, you got through this whole session without coughing.
I know. I know. I did have to take a sip of what we're calling water in here, and so that helped me out. So that's good. No, I did okay. I think that this episode is a keeper. I think we'll just go ahead and release this thing.
Well, why not? I mean,
There you
and
go.
stay tuned for our shirtless Aging Gayfully.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Stay tuned. Just don't hold your breath. I would be concerned, but do stay tuned.
And check out the photos of the artist and me posing
Oh,
shirt.
I've put them
Shirt.
in the episode. So when you're
Oh,
talking
you did.
about it, I've put them in.
Oh, okay. Well, and I don't need to. I don't need to self promote because I'm still looking. I'm still working on that myself.
Well,
So
yeah, do self promote. Absolutely, absolutely.
go and look at the pictures.
Go and look at all of them, and be expecting at some point that he's going to be on, in Times Square up on the billboards with all of the other shining lights.
Well, I so appreciate you, Josh.
You're the best. You're the best, and our audience is the best. But we do want to hear from y'all, so
Yeah.
do email
Tell us your
us.
story. Tell us. Everybody has a story, but not everybody gets a chance to tell their story. So the way to this is the way to come on the Aging Gayfully.
All right, folks. So until next time, I've been Josh. That's been Chris. We'll see you soon.